March is here, so that means a few things. March Madness is starting soon, NBA and NHL playoff races are heating up, and I'm just a couple months away from being thrown out into the real world. Yikes. We'll be discussing all of that, maybe except the last part, right here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct, everybody. I'm your new host, Malcolm Kellner, and yes, I am the real Colonel Sanders. We have what's sure to be another great episode in store for our audience today. Two powerhouse teams are here, the Red Scare and the Purple Panthers. Starting off the game for the Purple Panthers, we've got Tim Minella, who I hear is the heir to the founder of the Manila Envelope. Is that true, Tim?
It's not true.
It's not true.
But I am ready for this.
You are ready for today. In the other corner, we've got John Newton, who usually makes me look like a little kid by comparison, but I'm standing on a box today to even things out. John, you ready to play today?
Ready to rock and roll.
All right, good stuff, guys. Well, let's get this thing rolling with some college hoops. First question. All the talk about the NBA draft seems to start and end with LSU forward Ben Simmons. But if the Tigers don't make it into the NCAA tournament, which may be possible, does that hurt Simmons' draft stock? Tim Minella, you get to start.
No, I don't think that him missing the NCAA tournament would hurt his draft stock as much as the fact that he may not be that good. He's a good rebounder, and he's averaging nearly 20 points per game, which is pretty good in the NCAA. And he's a gifted passer. But let's not act like he's Magic Johnson. He only averages 5 assists per game, and there's a pretty glaring weakness in his game. The man can't shoot. He simply can't shoot. He's only 1 for 3 from three-point land this year. And in this current NBA, if you're going to be a 3 or a 4, which he is, you need to be able to shoot. You need to be able to space the floor and spread the defense. And unfortunately, he just can't do that.
Okay, so Tim Minella is saying the Ben Simmons hype is much ado about nothing. John, give us a response.
Ben Simmons, like Tim said, will be the #1 draft pick, but it's because he's just so daggone good. Speaking of Magic Johnson, he called him the best all-around player since LeBron James. And you says he can't shoot. He's shooting 57% from the season. I don't need him to shoot threes. I want my 6'10", 6'11 guy in there in the paint, shooting 57%. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic, phenomenal stuff. Better than every other available pick possible. #1 ranked player of high school, Naismith Prep Player of the Year. The list of accolades goes on and on and on. Wooden finalist in college. The kid is doing work, whether he was in Australia playing Australian rules football, whether he was Australia playing basketball, in America playing high school basketball, and now at LSU, he's just simply dominating everything he does.
Okay, so John believes the hype. Tim, not so much. Tim, tell us why other players, someone in particular, would be a better NBA draft choice than Ben Simmons if he's not all that great.
Well, I think Ben Simmons could still be a decent player. He won't be LeBron, he won't be Magic. He could be more of like a Lamar Odom or maybe a Draymond Green with worse defense, something like that. But if I were picking #1, I'd be tempted to pick Brandon Ingram out of Duke. The kid could be the next Kevin Durant. He shoots over 40% from 3, and he's just a freshman scoring 17 points per game in an offense that's more geared towards the guards. I think he could be the best player in the draft.
Okay, so John, I know you're a Duke fan, but tell us why Simmons is better than Ingram, or at least will be in the NBA.
No, he already is better than Brandon Ingram, and that's because Ingram's only scoring 17 points per game, shooting 41%. That means he's not getting the boards, only getting under 7 a game. He's not doing the work inside that you want a guy with a 7'3" wingspan to be doing. Speaking of his 7'3" wingspan, Simmons has 21 more steals than Brandon Ingram with a 7'3" wingspan. This is ridiculous. Simmons is doing all the right things, offense, defense, transition. He can do it all. And this, how about this stellar stat? His assist-to-turnover ratio is 1.5. 1.5 assists for every turnover. Ingram is less than 1. He has far more turnovers than he does assists.
Okay, guys, so I like both points on either side. Tim had very good points that Simmons is not a great three-point shooter, doesn't take any threes, and he may need to do that in the NBA. But we've seen a lot of other players develop that shot at the next level, and right now his stats are the best in college basketball that John Newton pointed out, best overall stats, so I'm going to have to give the first point to the Red Scare. So question number 2. Duke's Grayson Allen has been seen tripping 2 opponents. Many fans and pundits in the media have vilified the Blue Devils. So I'm going to ask you guys, Does Allen deserve all the scrutiny? John Newton, your turn first.
He's received all the scrutiny he deserves, but no more. He's embracing the Duke villain role, but he's no Christian Laettner. He didn't deserve to be suspended because it was just a flagrant one. Coach K said, I would not suspend a player for a flagrant one. A flagrant one is deemed unnecessary contact. A flagrant two is deemed unnecessary and excessive. If you look at his trip on Louisville's Raymond Spalding, that may have been unnecessary, and it was called as such, but it was not excessive. He did not deserve to be suspended. Had Allen maybe scissored and trapped Spalding's legs, that would have warranted an ejection and suspension and the following flagrant two.
So John's saying that the vilification is warranted. Tim, your response.
He absolutely deserved to be suspended. It was an extremely blatant trip and not a basketball play whatsoever. That sort of play has no place in the game of basketball. He's just keeping in the tradition of scumbag Duke players like John Shire,
Shots
J.J.
fired.
Redick, and Christian Laettner. But he's really not as good as the rest of them. The media wants him to become the next Duke villain, but I just don't think he's that.
Okay, so Tim's saying it was a dirty move, the trip. John, you seem to think it wasn't all that bad. Tell us why he doesn't deserve all the hate that's been coming his way.
Well, he doesn't. Tim said he deserves a suspension, and he does deserve suspension. It's in the rules. Speaking of players like J.J. Redick and John Shire, J.J. Redick was a senior when he was averaging, well, he had 7.8 win shares. Grayson Allen already has 6.2 win shares as a sophomore. You're mentioning guys that stayed at Duke for 4 years. This is not going to happen with Grayson Allen. He's going to go to the NBA. He's actually projected to be in the top 15 picks, projected right now to be a member of the Boston Celtics, but all that could change with the lottery and all that. He goes down for steals like John Shire, always ready to claim loose balls, always on the ground, and that hustle helped his team win a national title.
So, John, you're saying that his accolades and his outstanding play in his sophomore year doesn't make him deserve all this hate he's been getting, but Tim, you think those dirty plays kind of nullified that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just not what you should be doing on the basketball court. And personally, as a Celtics fan, if Grayson Allen goes to the Celtics, I'm going to protest in the streets. He's just not that good. He can't guard anyone in college. How is he going to guard an NBA athlete? He's a decent three-point shooter, but he's not a great ball handler. He's not a point guard or a shooting guard. What is he, John?
Don't you want guys in the NBA that hustle in a league where people worry so much about money? This guy brings in all the intangibles, all the immeasurables, diving off the stage in the NCAA tournament on the raised platform just to get cut up, scratched up, just for a chance to save a loose ball, just for one chance to save a loose ball. And all those moments, and especially in a league like the NBA, add up so much. And when everybody makes a run, that little bit of hustle can be the defining moment that gives a team a W.
All right, guys.
None of that makes him an NBA basketball player.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to wrap things up here. Again, very tough argument. Both sides make great points. I like John's point about how Grayson Allen has been so tough and scrappy for Duke this year. But I think Tim really brought it home, saying when you make dirty plays like that, you deserve to be vilified. Yes, he's been a good player for Duke and could be a productive NFL or NBA player, John, but just too much dirty play with the trip and other plays. Going to give the points to Tim Manella and the Purple Panthers. But that's it for round one. We are all tied up, so don't go anywhere. We've got the lightning round coming up next. And it's time to slop the puck around, don't you know? We're talking hockey. Stay tuned.
Have no place to go. Have no place to go. Darling, have no place to go. Have no place to go.
Welcome back to the UC Dojo. It's time for the middle round, and we've got two talented panelists about to go at it. First is Joe Jacobs from the Purple Panthers, who's filling in for Danny Johnson, who was a late game scratch. So, Joe, you ready to play today on such short notice?
Come on, Malcolm. You know who you're talking to right now? Let's go.
You talking to me, huh? You talking to me? All right, on the other side, we've got Olin Hayes for the Red Scare, who's certainly no slouch himself. Olin, you ready to go today?
Always, it's what I live for.
Hey, this is what he lives for, so what better way to start than it's time to do it live. Round two is the NHL. So, after a busy NHL trade deadline, which team do you think improved the most? Olin, start it off.
I'm going to say that the team that improved the most was the Colorado Avalanche. You look at the way people work at the trade deadline, they either try to work to win now or they try to build up for down the road. The Avalanche are the only team that did both. They went out and got Mikkel Bodker, who's an established first-line star, but they also went out and got some young players. Eric Jelena, who's a great offensive defenseman from the Devils, and Taylor Beck, who's a great Islanders prospect. Picked up Sean Matthias, veteran presence, big guy, tough guy, but can also score some goals. He scored as many as 18. There are some teams that made some big moves and some teams that made some smart moves for the future, but no one else had the complete package the way the Avalanche did. They went after both the future and the present, and it worked perfectly.
Okay, so Olin's saying the Colorado Avalanche improved their team perfectly. Joe Jacobs, who did better?
All I'm hearing in my ear right now is excuses for why the Avalanche aren't going to make it far in the playoffs, Malcolm. Now, I'm going to go with the reigning Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks, who got Andrew Ladd, 51 points. He's averaging in the last 7 years. He's a big hitter, will help that first line. And Dale Weiss, he's going to come in and anchor that second or third line, and he brings a veteran presence, which you were talking about on the Avalanche. But you look at the Blackhawks, and they are already a stud team. And then they've got Hossa coming in, 30-goal scorer. He's going to come back when he comes back from injury. Blackhawks, easy. They're going for that second Stanley Cup in 2 years, Malcolm. Come on now.
Okay, so I'm going to have to wrap it up right there. Both teams certainly improved at the deadline, but the Blackhawks are the reigning champions, and they were already kind of at that level, Stanley Cup level. Avalanche needed those improvements to get there, so I'm going to have to give the points over to Olin Hayes. But next question. First and second overall picks, Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel faced off Tuesday night in their first head-to-head battle. So far, which player has emerged as the better of the two? Joe Jacobs, what do you say?
Well, I'm going to go with someone not mentioned right there. Artemi Panarin, 24-year-old from the KHL. He has 59 points, 24 games, leading rookies in goals and assists. He's coming in, anchoring that first line on the Blackhawks. We talked about how talented the Blackhawks are, and a 24-year-old rookie from Russia has stepped in. He made the Russian team for the Olympics, and he's just a stud all around, and he's leading in the Calder Trophy race. So I think he's the easy pick.
Okay, so Olin, are you going to go with one of the two guys that were actually in the question?
Absolutely. I'm glad you avoided the question, because otherwise it would have been too easy to take down Jack Eichel. But Connor McDavid is the best rookie in the entire NHL. The only reason Panarin's pure numbers are higher is because he's played more games. Connor McDavid has more goals per game, more assists per game, and he's got just a slightly worse plus-minus on one of the worst teams in the entire NHL. It's easy to rack up assists when you're passing to Patrick Kane. Even the bad players on the Blackhawks are better than most players on the Oilers. So Connor McDavid has stepped up and in 29 games has proven himself as a force to be reckoned with. Scored 2 goals against Jack Eichel's team recently to prove himself over Eichel. And in addition, he has just proven himself at every single opportunity. And if you're worried about a small sample size,
you can't say he's proven himself at every opportunity.
He's played
when
29
he's been
games.
injured.
Well,
Come
now
on
he's
now.
scored
more points in every game than Panarin.
We can't have too much
Who's
rebuttal here
leading?
in the middle round, so I'm going to have to shut it down. Joe, relax. You made a great point about Panarin coming with the curveball, bringing the player in who wasn't in the question, but I'm going to have to give the points to Olin Hayes. Connor McDavid, he's been the best rookie this year, so I'm going to give the point to the Red Scare. Next question. 3 teams are currently in a dead tie for the top spot in the Western Conference. Chicago, Dallas, and St. Louis all have 83 points. So who, and it could be a team not in the top 3, do you think is the best team in the West? Olin, you first.
I'm going to go with a team that is just behind those top 3, the Anaheim Ducks. They're the most complete team in the NHL right now. John Gibson is an all-star goalie, 2.09 goals against average. Their backup, Frederik Andersen, still has a better goals against average than Corey Crawford. So they have the best goaltending tandem in the league right now, and they've also got a dynamic offense, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, etc. Great players. And they are the hottest team in professional sports. They've won 19 out of 21 games. That's better than the Golden State Warriors over that stretch, just to put that in perspective. They are flying up the standings, and they show no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Okay, so Olin playing the hot hand with the Ducks. Joe, why not the Ducks?
Well, I think this one's easy because I've been talking about them for the last 2 questions, and you still haven't given me them, even though I've been right the last 2 times, and it's the Blackhawks. You said it yourself, Olin. They're the most complete team. They've got so many studs. They've got Patrick Kane up there.
True.
They've got Andrew Ladd, who they just added. I've gone through all the players that the Chicago Blackhawks had. Yes, they're good, and they're going to be the best team in the West. I don't know what you're saying about the Anaheim Ducks. They're not even in the top 3. Get them there. We'll see what happens. Not a complete team.
All right, so the Ducks have been the hotter team as of late, but I have more faith in the Blackhawks, the defending champions. I just trust them more in the playoffs when that point is reached. So next question. With the Eastern Conference being as crowded as it is, with 12 teams within 16 points of second place, Who do you think, if you didn't look at the standings, is the number 2 team in the East? Joe, back to you.
Well, the actual team in second is the New York Rangers, and you got to go with them. Eric Stahl, big deadline trade. He's coming over. That captain will help on the first line. Rick Nash returning from injury, and you can't forget this one. It's easy. They have the best goalie in the game, and Henrik Lundqvist. Let's go. Rangers second best.
Olin seems to disagree. Who are you going with?
I am going with the Florida Panthers. Henrik Lundqvist is a good goalie. He is nowhere near the best in the league this year. He's having a down year. Luongo was an all-star. Roberto Luongo has resurrected his career in Florida. He's played 50 games, much more than Lundqvist, and he's got fantastic numbers. Top 10 in goals against average, all kinds of stats. He's played better in every way, and they've got so many dynamic players on offense. You've got such a wide range. Jaromir Jagr, 44 years old, still dominating, playing on a line with 19-year-old Jonathan Huberdeau. This team has everything from young players who are more energetic to 44-year-old Jagr who can still get the job done. And they've got the 3rd best goal differential in the entire NHL, best in the Eastern Conference other than the Capitals, who were the clear favorites.
Okay, so another very close question. Olin making a great argument for the Panthers, but
Went over his time limit, just remember
I'm
that.
going to have to go with the actual second team in the standings, the New York Rangers. They've just proven themselves as the better team thus far. So last question of the round. We're all tied up at 2. The Boston Bruins sit just 4 points behind the second place spot in the Eastern Conference with their latest trade deadline moves, including keeping winger Louis Eriksson. Are the Bees all in for this postseason? Back to Olin.
Without question, they are all in. If you are going for a cup run in this season, what you do is you get veterans who are terminating their contracts after the year. They got 2 rental players, basically, in Stempniak and John Michael Lyles. Those are 2 players who are going to leave after the season is over, and they went out and traded draft picks, mortgaging their future to win right now. They also could have traded Louis Eriksson. His contract expires at the end of the year. If they don't want to win now, they would trade him. All of their moves show a clear desire to win right now. I talked to my Avalanche answer about how you need to pick between winning now and winning in the future most of the time. This team did every step to win right now.
Okay, so Olin's saying the Bruins are all in. Joe?
Well, I
why
really
not?
hope this team isn't all in, because if you look at their statistics, 19th in the league in score-adjusted possession, 10th in scoring, 14th in power play differential.
needed to get
They
better.
have no Dougie Hamilton, and they're even with the Calgary Flames in chances per game. This team, not very good, and on their back line, they have Zdeno Chara, and they've got like 2 rookies playing on that D-line. And just Tuukka Rask has been playing animalistic. And so the Bruins, I really hope they're not building for this season
that's bad
and
news
down
for
the
you.
route.
All right, well, speaking of animalistic, this middle round has been very animalistic. Joe making good points that the Bruins haven't been the powerhouse of recent years that they have been, but Olin's saying they are all in, which is true. They have mortgaged their future by trading draft picks, by getting rental players. They may not be as good as they used to be, but they definitely are all in, and that's what the question was. And Olin and the Red Scare win this middle round 3-2. So that's going to do it for the middle round. Red Scare coming out victorious, but it's not over until the fat lady sings, and I don't hear one anywhere. Final round for all the marbles is coming up, and we're talking about the association. That's, of course, the NBA. Don't go anywhere. I'll know if you do.
You will.
Hi, I'm Aaron Kinigsberg, host of EIV's The Dish. Tune in every Friday for your chance to see what kind of bow tie I pulled out of my closet today.
Welcome back to the UC Arena. We've had a great game so far. Red Scare on top right now in a close one, 5-4, but this match is still up for grabs. Joining us for the final round are Pablo Feldman of the Purple Panthers and Augie Vanderveer of the Red Scare. So Pablo, will a UC win be in store in the life of Pablo today?
I really believe it will be. Comeback Nation right here.
Okay, and he's got a laptop up, which I think is a first in UC history. Don't usually see that. I don't know. We're gonna have to check with the check with the commish on that one.
I actually checked them before. It was
And it is approved.
Got a pass.
It is
We're good.
approved. Okay. Augie
Don't
Vanderveer,
bet, Augie.
he's going old-fashioned with the good old pen and paper and the
Pen and
notebook.
paper,
You
yeah.
ready to go today?
Absolutely.
Okay. What's that jersey you've got
It's the
underneath?
jersey. It's the great Detlef Schrempf, first foreign player to win Sixth Man of the Year. star of the '96 Sonics. Really gave him an extra edge.
That is the most random jersey I've ever heard, but I respect it.
Professional look on set here
Yes,
today.
definitely. All right, it's game time, boys. Question number 1 in the final round. Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson said Stephen Curry's ascension is merely a result of what's going on in basketball today. He said that Curry is not the most skilled player ever and said he wouldn't be that good in a previous era. So, gentlemen, do you think the Big O is right, or is Steph just better than everyone else? Pablo, go ahead.
It's honestly a ridiculous question. Steph is clearly better than anybody else. Steph Curry already this season, he's broke his own record for threes with 25 games left in the season. Steph Curry, best player in the NBA. He has the MVP locked up in February. That's unheard of. His team is battling for the best record, and he leads his team. And he's like no player to ever play the game, honestly. No player in NBA history has ever been able to shoot the way that Steph Curry has. Steph Curry, from beyond 30 feet, is 11 for 22. That's an absurd number. The rest of the league is at 8%. And Steph Curry, he has dribbles for days. He can penetrate to the hoop. Steph Curry is the best player in the NBA. And honestly, his comment is honestly absurd.
Okay, so Pablo saying some sour grapes from Oscar Robertson that Stephen Curry he deserves the hype. Augie, why would Stephen maybe not be that great in a former era?
Well, I'm not going to take anything away from Stephen Curry. Steph, don't put me on the bulletin board. You are great. You are the greatest shooter of all time, but you are also in the perfect era for you. The 1990s Warriors, they attempted 753s on the season. This year's Warriors have already made 760. Steph Curry is in the perfect era for a three-point gunner. Efficiency stats are on the rise, and people love him for it. He's a great shooter, but he's also in the perfect era for it. Big O, you're wrong, buddy. I'm sorry. You're a great one, but Steph Curry is really that good.
Okay, so Augie's saying that Curry's great, but
seems like he just gave
product
the
of
same
times.
argument as I did.
A
Yeah.
little
well,
bit better
saying-
one. A little bit better one.
He's saying he maybe wouldn't be as
We're both
effective
Splash
in a
Brothers.
previous
He's
era.
Clay, I'm Steph.
Right. So why, Pablo, tell us why Steph would be just as effective in a previous era as he is now.
Honestly, that's a nonsensical argument. I mean, of course the game has changed. That's obvious. But let's live in the moment. Let's live right now. It has the three-point line is a thing. It's a completely nonsensical argument,
It's
honestly.
been here for a while.
Oscar Robertson, obviously one of the best players in the NBA, but he didn't get his due. He's salty about it, and Steph Curry is getting his due.
But Pablo, would Steph Curry be effective still, say, 10, maybe 20 years ago? Would he still be a great player? Oscar's saying he wouldn't necessarily be, but would he be?
That's also a ridiculous question. If you've watched Steph Curry at all, the fact that you're comparing him and saying he hasn't makes me seem like you haven't watched the Warriors this year. Steph Curry, I mean, how he can penetrate to the hoop, his ball handles, better than anybody of any era,
Better than
honestly.
Kyrie.
Yes, his ball handles are amazing. His shot, you know what? It doesn't matter what era he's in. Steph Curry is the best player.
Okay, last word
You
goes
want
to
some
Augie.
stats? All right, cool. Steve Kerr has unleashed Steph Curry. In a previous era, he would have been shackled. Mark Price, Eddie Jones, even Daddy Curry. He was locked down by the coach, wasn't able to shoot threes. He has seen a 13% rise in assisted three-point field goals. Steve Kerr has built a system that maximizes Steph Curry. Mark Jackson didn't. He's in the perfect era. He's in the perfect 2 past years.
Nonsensical stats.
Okay, well, this is a very tough argument because both arguments were kind of intertwined, but I'm going to have to give the points over to Augie. He made the point better that Steph's stats have been optimized, his performance have been optimized by the times. Pablo didn't quite give the argument that he could have been effective in a previous era, which personally I think he would have, but just the argument wasn't quite there. I'm sorry, Pablo. So Augie and the Red Scare get the first points. But question number 2. LeBron James returned home to bring Cleveland a championship. He willed last year's squad to the finals, but after his head coach has been fired, there were reports star point guard Kyrie Irving wasn't happy in Cleveland, and Kevin Love was rumored to be on the trade block before the deadline. So the question is, are the Cavs in turmoil? Augie, tell us.
I wouldn't say turmoil. David Blatt's one of those kid movies, babysitters that got duct tape and put in the closet. He really wasn't a factor at all. He's not this team. Kyrie, non-story. Stephen A is just trying to get a worse take than Skip Bayless on the show. It's ridiculous. Get your money, Kyrie. You're locked in for 3 more years. Just keep getting buckets. Kevin Love wasn't on the trade block. Danny Ainge wanted Kevin Love on the trade block so he could fill the chunky, washed white boy role that David Lee couldn't. All I'm saying is they're not in turmoil. They're just ready for another finals loss.
Okay, so Pablo, he's saying much ado about nothing with the reported turmoil. Why is there turmoil in Cleveland?
Of course there's turmoil. The Cavs replaced head coach David Blatt with Tyronn Lue, who's never coached an NBA team.
But have the trust of the locker room. Go ahead.
Okay, so pretty much what the Cavs are saying is that LeBron James is going to be their head coach. That's what they're saying by hiring him.
4-time MVP,
Well,
2-time Finals
tell
MVP.
Tell me this. What NBA team has won a championship without a dominant head coach? Phil Jackson with the triangle offense. Steve Kerr running the motion offense for the Warriors. The head coach makes the difference in the NBA. And with LeBron James as the head coach, honestly, that's just something that's not going to happen. If they do get out of the East, the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Warriors, they're not going to have a shot.
Okay, so I'm going to have to wrap it up here, gentlemen. Again, I sound like a broken record. Great points on great sides. I'm going to have to give this one to Pablo Feldman and the Purple Panthers. The Cavs are in turmoil. When you fire your coach when you have the best record in the conference, that shows turmoil, and they've been struggling in the last month. Almost a 500 record. This is a team that's got a lot of questions and not a whole lot of answers. They may get back to the finals, but they really would be no match for the Warriors, Spurs, or any other team that comes out of the West. So, final question. The Boston Celtics have surprised a lot of people this season. The C's have a 12-game home winning streak and hold the 3rd spot in the East. So what is the one thing the Celtics have done that other teams trying to rebuild with a young core should do? Pablo, you first.
The one thing the Celtics have done is Brad Stevens. Head coach Brad Stevens. I know we just talked about here how head coach Tyronn Lue is a bad head coach, and that's why the Cavs are in turmoil. Well, Brad Stevens took the Butler Bulldogs to 2 straight Final Fours, and along with having high draft picks, the Celtics have created an atmosphere. Brad Stevens has created an atmosphere that makes players want to come play for him. There's a culture of accountability and winning. Crowder, he's turned him into a good player. Isaiah Thomas couldn't fit into a team before the Celtics. Suddenly he's come here and he's fitting in and he's making a huge difference. How many teams win with bad coaches? The answer to that is absolutely zero. Good coaches win. It's a personality-driven team, and Brad Stevens is making the difference.
Okay, so Brad Stevens, the difference maker for the C's. Augie, tell us why it's another factor that other teams are trying to emulate with the Celtics.
It's bigger than Brad Stevens. It's the whole front office. They're in an acquiring asset mode, but they're maintaining a winning culture because of the collaborative nature of that front office. Complete front offices, San Antonio, Miami, they know it's bigger than the coach. Steve Kerr credited his finals winning adjustment to a scouting guy. And if the Golden State Warriors, I'm pretty sure they have the winningest culture in basketball, know that it goes beyond the coach, it goes beyond the coach.
Okay, Pablo, back to
First
you.
of all, of course, Steve Kerr attributed it to him. He's trying to give credit to an all-around organization, not take credit. But you know what? That's the thing, is when it comes down to it, it's what happens on the court. And Brad Stevens makes that difference. He's getting players to come play for him, and he's turning them in. These players didn't make a huge difference in the NBA before necessarily, but when they come play for him, there's an enormous change. And you know what? Brad Stevens is creating that change and creating this culture for the Celtics.
Quick last word. In fairness, he started first, so you have 10 seconds.
Front office acquired great players. Jay Crowder was a steal. They completely fleeced the Nets. This front office has given them great assets to try and get a better player, like Kevin Love.
All right, so I'm going to have to wrap it up here. Pablo made great points about Brad Stevens, how he's been a great coach, turned players around. Augie's made great points about the front office. They've both been great, but I'm going to have to give the points to Pablo Feldman and the Purple Panthers. The point is simple. Brad Stevens has taken the Celtics to where they are today. I loved his points about turning Jay Crowder from a nobody, just a replacement player on the Mavericks, to a very serviceable player. Isaiah Thomas, he turned him from an average player into an all-star, first-time all-star this year, the little 5'9" guy. So Brad Stevens has taken the C's to that third-place spot. Danny Ainge has done a great job with the front office, but other coaches, other teams, what they need is a young coach like Brad Stevens to turn players around and maintain a culture of winning. So it's officially a wrap on another memorable episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. The Purple Panthers winning a nail-biter nail
go,
butter.
baby.
8-7. But don't go anywhere. Our victors will be back to present their yellow cards after this. I hear these takes are going to be so hot, you definitely don't want to miss it. And do I hear no yellow cards today? No yellow cards today. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of UC. As one of the presidential candidates would say, unsportsmanlike conduct, very important, great show. Malcolm Kellner, best host there is. Okay, he's wonderful, he's terrific. And of course, he's a winner, that I can tell you. We'll see you next time. Milkman out. Nice job, guys.